Hey guys, I just wanted to show you guys real quick in the beginning of this video some stuff about the Okrasa engine. They had on this Vintage Speed website, pretty cool. I mean, they're a pre-67 VW website. They show, and I think it's in Europe somewhere, but they show the two different Okrasa engines. So the first one is the TS 1200, which was just the kit alone. You got the heads and the carburetors, so it's an old vintage photo there. And then the next one, so the heads and the carburetors. So the next one was the 69.5 crankshaft, which is what we're doing. But they did not have oversized pistons and cylinders available at that time. It wasn't for a few more years later before they started making those. So they just put a 69.5 crankshaft in. It made it 1295 cc. Ours is 1433, I think, because I went with the 81s. So if you add 81s, that's what that is. And here's the information on, I guess that's the Okrasa label. Wish I had one of those. We kind of need, I'm trying to get a guy to reproduce it right now, but we'll see how that goes. That'd be kind of neat to have. And then I guess some of the guys that were involved with it, but anyway, the cam, they did have the cam also was part of Okrasa, I believe. And they do say in this there was some clearancing necessary. If you read the bottom line there, I'm reading it through your thing, so it's hard for me to see. Order to the connecting rods. Okay, so it shows that in there. So right there in that line. So when you did the 69.5, you had to do the crankshaft modification. So anyway, there's definitely, that has to be done. Or you had to modify the connecting rods. So anyway, yeah, it shows the really cool photos in here. Oh, and the other thing I was going to show you guys here, this is like an old ad, and it shows the, if you look at here, the graph to the left shows the difference in horsepower. It drops off at 36 horse. The ones that they show it going up to 48, which that makes more sense. I mean, I think most Progressive they got 52 out of one, but maybe that was with the crankshaft. I don't know. And this was the base kit. And if you look down here at the bottom, it's kind of wild. You know, we're in Riverside, California, right? And that's where they were distributed from back in the 50s. And it was sold by Empy. So that's the history of it. It's kind of cool. And look at that old logo there. I want to try and find that so I can reproduce that. It'd be kind of neat. The old Okrasa, the angle up with the letters with the little dashes in them. It's kind of neat. But this was the 50s. And it was $249 ad. So that was a lot of money back then, if you think about it. A lot of guys did this. And it said an extra $10 for Ohio. Back then it was all mail order, right? They didn't have internet or any of that stuff. So, obviously not. Mail order was probably even, I mean, what was the Performance magazine? Was Hot VWs even out by then? I don't think it was. But anyway, pretty cool old ad there. Pretty neat. So, and I did find some others with the crankshaft. I forget where they were though. I believe I saw one that had the crankshaft. So there was two options. You could get the regular kit or you could get the crankshaft. And I believe that they also had the cam, because I've seen the cam specs and they had on them from Okrasa, I believe. So anyway, that's it for the beginning of this. I'll talk to you guys a little bit later. Quick, here's a little bit on the cam. Remember I was telling you guys about a B grind the guy did for me? See the 2B? That's the grind he did on the other cam. He says if you're using stock heads, you use the 2B grind. And then it says if you're using whatever, then you go to the Okrasa grind. Okay, 2J grind for Okrasa. So that's what that cam was an Okrasa ad. That was something you could get performance with the cam too. So all this stuff is all legit, original stuff they did in the 50s, just so you know. All right, well, I picked up this from the swap meet in that pile of stuff for $50, the engine case and all that stuff. And I was looking at it, it looks like it was rebuilt. So I cleaned the armature, piece of sandpaper, you can see the brushes look new. And at first it didn't work because I didn't clean the armature. I cleaned the armature and I hooked up power to D plus over here. All right, and then I ground this side and it just sparks. That's what you want. Okay, if you hook up D plus and you ground this and it starts spinning, then you might have a grounded out armature. If this is disconnected, this is your field wire. So then what I do is, after that's connected, is I ground the field and it spins. So that tells you it starts to make an electric motor. So that tells me that this thing is good. Of course, I had to have the regulator disconnected, but look at that. This looks like brand new, like somebody replaced it at some point. So I know this isn't exactly the correct one, but that's fine as long as it works. That's what I'm hoping for. And the other thing that's cool is this coil bracket. Let's see if we can get in the light so you guys can see and get a close up at the same time. I don't know if you can see that, but there's a Bosch emblem in there. Pretty cool. So I'm going to paint this silver. I got some real automotive type silver paint. A single stage urethane satin. That's what everything is on this, is going satin, and this was originally black. So I've got the new stickers coming, the original stickers for it. So that would be black on this one. Like I painted them blue. That's cool. I'm not doing it. I just figured I'll go with the original. So here's this all painted. I had to do it last night. Oh, I didn't paint that. Bummer. So I'll have to paint that today too. Back piece. I was kind of in a hurry and I wanted to get the fan shroud done so I can start assembling this. But I need to put this little zigzag piece down in here. I gotta find it. I think I got one, but I don't know where it's at. Alright, so I bent this thing kind of somewhat close to what they showed. And it drops in like that. So it'll just deflect some of the oil that wants to fling back up in there. And I painted these like a metallic finish that I had laying around. Some look good. Sure is taking a while to dry though, and this cold. I should have put accelerator in it, but I didn't. So it's going to take a while. Shouldn't take that long, but that's what it takes. And I gotta glue this thing on. I think I'm just gonna glue it in place. That gasket. All right, so this is either a 1500 or 40 horse. I don't know which one, but it's the same size. I don't know. I think the 1500 and the 40 horse were the same, but I don't know. But it's the same width, so it's got more blades than this one. So it should create more air, is what I think that they did. That should be good. Warning, what you're about to see could be quite devastating. No, anyway, here's my TIG welding. I'm not the TIG welder, especially for stainless steel. But I'm getting it to stick, so I'm gonna make this exhaust. Again, guys, we're gonna make like a kind of like the original exhaust was. I bent these pieces and was learning how to TIG weld stainless steel. I've done it. I mean, we did the parts. I can just barely get it to stick, and you know, of course, there's holes in that, and then I had to. These are little pits. Okay, they're not holes. I've looked it all over with the light and everything, and it's fine. So anyway, people are like, "Hey, just buy the one from whatever Vintage Speed." You know, I don't have the money for that, guys. I don't have money for $800 exhaust system. I just don't. So I have other things I need to spend money on, and that's not one of them. So anyway, I'm making this thing go like this here, and I'm making these flanges, waiting for some stuff for that. So that's one of the reasons it's been the delay. Again, I'm learning how to TIG weld. I've never done much TIG welding before, and stainless steel is definitely even more difficult than regular steel. So I would prefer poking my eye out with a pencil than welding with a TIG welder. So I would rather not do it, but if it's necessary, I just have to do it. So I'm working my way through it. I bent these by cutting slits in here. I don't know if I showed that earlier in another video, but I built a bunch of slits in there, I bent it, and then welded up the slits. So anyway, that's how it looks. It is smooth inside pretty well. So the exhaust should flow through it okay. In fact, it's a little lumpy, but it's fine. It's better than not having it. So anyway. But yeah, I can run in there with I'm probably going to go in there with a die grinder and kind of clean that up a little bit. And that's it. We're going to run with that. I've burned some holes, learning just what it is. Eventually, I could always redo it. You know, the way I'm doing it now, I could always redo it. That's what you do with body work and everything, car stuff. You do it once. Yeah, maybe I'll do it better next time, and I'll do it again. And that's what I'm doing. So anyway, got that going. And we'll see how it goes. I'll check in with you guys a little bit later. I'm not going to film me TIG welding. It's just too painful. I'll talk to you guys later. All right, so I'm getting ready to put this engine back in here. And, you know, I've always looked at this and kind of been a little bit kind of ambivalent about whether I should have a firewall protector in here, you know, or the I don't know if this car ever had one. Because look at these tabs, they don't look like they've ever been bent. That one doesn't, that one doesn't, that one doesn't, that one doesn't. That one, yeah, I don't think it has either. Because it's bent like perfectly like this one is. It doesn't look like it's been bent out. That one looks like it was bent. That one doesn't look like it's ever been bent out. And that one doesn't up there. So if you look, this one does, these two don't, but this one does maybe. Okay, and that one, I don't know, maybe that was just from when I was restoring this back here. So why were those never bent? You know, why do they look like that? I don't know. Was it optional to have the firewall piece in here? I don't really know. So I don't know. I'm not sure if I'm going to put one on. So I guess I'm just going to put the engine in without it and then go from there. But it just freaks me out a little bit because I thought they had them. I thought it was in the split windows that they didn't. But I don't really know. So anyway, if you guys know, then of course your comments would be definitely appreciated. And yeah, we'll do what we can. That's part of the headliner. And just go with that for now and clean this out, I guess. Once I get the engine in, I'm going to wash it all out later. And then we'll look at it then. But yeah, I don't know really what was there. It's just weird. So anyway, maybe they didn't have them. It was optional. I don't know. So I got to put the throttle bearing in, get this engine ready to put in here. All right, so I'll tell you guys where I've got, how to get it to this position is I had this carburetor over there in that corner, that carburetor there off, and jacked it up. Of course, normally when you go up with a VW, you go up and you go outward this way. And then, so that's why there's always damage here. Every VW has some scratches or something there. Of course, we're going to touch that up, but I'm not worried about it. I didn't even put tape down there because I already know I'm going to touch it up, and it's just too much aggravation for me to try and do all that stuff. I don't get upset anymore. I just know it's going to happen. So let it happen. Deal with it. Okay, so what I did is I get it up this way. Now, of course, then you take it back like this. You get the stud started, and then you bring it in like that. That's your typical way to put in the VW engine. And once you get it up high enough, the manifolds are clearing, so it should be fine. It should go in like a normal engine now. That is, hopefully, normal can vary quite a bit. Well, I hate to disappoint you guys, but it went right in. So, yeah, I was shocked actually. So, anyway, if you didn't see got some stickers there from Europe for the Bosch coil. I just got to put this thing together now, so I'm just going to stick the carb back on. I loosened that one up. I didn't need to. I could have just, I was going to take that one off. I thought, well, why would I take that one off when that one has the linkage I can remove? So it's easier to take that off, and then I would just take off the linkage as well, or the fuel line. You could probably leave it on, but I don't know. Yeah, you probably could, but it's probably easier to put the engine bolts in with it out, because you got to reach your arm back there. So yeah, I think I'd rather have it out of there. So anyway, I took it off. It takes a couple minutes to put on. So anyway, let's get on with it. I'm going to go ahead and assemble some of this up off camera. It's kind of self-explanatory, right? And then I've got to fit my exhaust on. I got it all done, but when I was welding the inside pieces, of course, it warped a little. I don't know. I have trouble with stainless steel. It's guys say it's easy. I don't think so, but anyway, it's my opinion. I got the carbs back on there. I don't know about this. I'll just leave it that way for now. I think I'll end up putting a buggy throttle cable in here. I just know that that's going to break. So anyway, but the throttle linkage does work good now. It's not when I push on it, because it's not meant to be pushed on. But yeah, it does work very good. It returns real nice. I can tighten up the spring a little bit more. So that's working good, but we'll improve it as we go. Somebody mentioned that they like the one that goes down here better. Maybe it does work better, but sure to conflict with a lot of things if it's down on the case. Maybe it's up higher, but does it go all the way up to here in the same place, but just mounts on the case? I don't know. Those are supposed to be better, I guess, but this is what we went with. This is original. That's what I kind of wanted, the original look. So anyway, so let's look out. We're looking right now. I haven't got the belt on. I don't have the spark plugs in it yet, but I did hook up the exhaust. Wow, it came out pretty straight. Holy crap, I thought it was going to be crooked. But, and it's like the perfect length too, isn't it? The other one was too long. Anyway, a lot of TIG welding off camera. And you know what, I think I'd rather poke my eye with a pointed pencil than TIG weld. But anyway, if you have to do it, you have to do it. Let's see if we get oil pressure. It's cranking over pretty well for a 6-volt. Oh, it's going faster. It's going faster. It must be getting some oil pressure. Maybe let's make sure it's not going on the ground. And I do have one case leak. God, I usually put more of that stuff on there. I usually put it on a little thick. I'd rather put it on a little thick than a little thin. And I don't know, people have been commenting, hey, you should put it on thinner, don't put it on too thick. Next time I'm doing it my way. So, I don't know if we're going to get the oil light. I see it flickering. I see it flickering, look. It's like it's thinking about going out, but maybe 6-volt just doesn't crank it over fast enough. But that gained up oil pressure pretty quick, because we did full flow this and we put a 26mm oil pump on there. We've got 1/2 inch line going up to the front. Most of the guys use 1/4 inch on the 36. I went with 1/2 inch up to the filter and back because I don't want it to run dry for any amount of time. So I went with that. Yeah, it's not as pretty. Let's look underneath, I'll show you. So this is where I put it. The spin-on filter's up here in the front. And when I do a beetle and I put oil cooler in it, put it right here. Gets lots of air, works really good. The filter can go right where that one is, and there's usually enough room right here. Now, the problem is these bulky heater boxes, I still got to put the covers on them. I don't know how that's going to go. And I've got the oil lines. I usually like to run my oil lines down like this. And on the later models, I'll use those bottom bolts there. And I'll put like a little U-bracket right here to hold them. Anywhere else, it seems to conflict with the exhaust. So if I run it straight out here, then it's, you know, it's kind of close to the exhaust. Some guys put them over here. I don't know. I like them going down underneath and going here with the AN fittings. And then what I'll do is I'll put, buy some plugs. If you're going to use the AN style fittings, buy some plugs so that when you take your engine out, you just take these off. Okay, and you put a plug in each end. You put a plug on this side and a plug on this side, a plug here and a plug there. And then you don't have oil spilling all over the ground when you're taking your engine out. It's just not bad that way. All you got to do is put the oil pan underneath it, put your plugs in, clean it up a little bit, and then you don't have a bunch of mess while you're taking the engine out. And then these come, just roll them back, and then I just use baling wire here because I just untwist this. I don't use zip ties because zip ties come off or they'll break or whatever, and then your oil line's hanging down. So I'll use baling wire because it's pretty permanent, and I can undo this and then take this down if I want to and move the lines way up out of the way, whatever, while you're taking the engine out. So that's the way I like to do it on a Beetle. It's been a long time since I had a full flow in a Beetle. So anyway, that's how we do them. We used to do them this way, to the side of the transmission and over. So there's all this room right in here, but you just don't want it to be in confliction with your clutch cable or your throttle cable. Make sure it's out of the way over as far as you can over here. Anyway, it's really kind of hard to get in there. It's hard to do on the ground. Not bad on the lift. So anyway, we'll put some plugs in this guy and let's hear it run. You guys, I'm sweating. It's literally like 100 degrees in that sun over there. So I've had a hard time working on it. Because the weird thing I'll show you is when you're out here, okay, look at how far the sun comes in here. It comes all the way in. Let me see if I can turn you guys. Because the sun's down so low, it just comes right in the shop. And it is super hot. I'm probably going to have to switch to shorts. It's so hot. It's like, you know, it's probably 90 degrees right here. Easily. 90, 95 degrees. And, you know, it's not 95 degrees out. They won't they check it in the shade, right? In the shade, it's nice and cool. It's like 70 or something. But out there, it is super hot. So anyway, I've been having trouble. I can only work for a little while. About 2 o'clock, it's just too hot. It's like 100 some odd degrees out there. It's even hotter than the summer because the sun is coming directly inside the building. In the summer, at least it's in the shade. So anyway, been having that trouble. A couple of years back, I bought some of these. So I bought a bunch of them from Okrasa, Arizona before. I didn't even know they were going to stop making them. But I'll check the gaps. Just make sure they're all the same. I don't re-gap them unless they're, you know, bent. If it's bent, then I'll re-gap it. And I'll go with what's on it. Because if you have that thing out of square, if that lead right there is out of square a little bit, it won't fire correctly. So you ruin them sometimes when you re-gap them. So it's better to just check them and make sure they're all the same. Put them in. But anyway, should be like whatever, 28 thousandths if I remember right. Am I right? Wrong? I don't know. But I'll just check them real quick and put them in. All right, I'll be surprised if the camera doesn't overheat. It is hot right here. It's amazing how hot it is. Just gonna give it a little bit of something. Oh, that's not nothing in there. Let me get something else. Let's try it again with something a little stronger. A little bit of starting fluid. This isn't the good stuff like the old days. So anyway, see if it starts. Fuel's puking. Fuel puking right out of here. Gotta fix that. You guys over here for a second. See if it's puking again. I don't know. I just saw it just squirting out of there. Oh, it doesn't seem like it is now. Probably gonna need 12 volts to get this thing to start. Let's see. Has it got any fuel coming in yet? Have to tighten up the spring a little bit. Saw something falling down there. I don't know. I think there's fuel in there. I think this trigger's too short. Well, if I jump it with 12 volts, I'll kill my battery or my lights. See fuel coming out somewhere else. It's kind of wet. Try to get my glasses out. I can't see. And so I don't think it's going to start unless I let it charge for a while. Maybe let this charge. Let's see. I'll show you how slow. It's just too slow. And it's I don't think it's getting enough spark when it's going that slow. So I need to spin it over faster. If I hook up a 12 volt one to the 6 volt, one of the jumper packs, they don't work really well on the lithium ones. Don't work really well on a 6 volt car. They start cutting off and stuff. So I got to charge this thing for a couple hours and just see if it comes back around. Then by then the sun will be over that tree and it's not so hot. All right, I put a little 12 volt on it for a while and then tried it, cranked it over. So let's try this thing with 6 volt again and see if it starts. I don't know. It seemed like it might. It's trying to. Plug's disconnected. Number 3 or number 4. Plug's disconnected. Let's try hooking it up. Can't run it very long. I don't have the fan belt. One I got's not the right one. I guess I just didn't plug it in. I didn't plug in 2. God, it runs pretty good on 2 cylinders. Holy crap. Jerking around with this thing for so long. Got to plug them in. Alright, let's try it now. Whoa, this thing sounded pretty good for 2 cylinders. Let's see. Looks like on all 4. That's an exhaust leak. I think that's all we're going to do there. It's getting hot. No fan. Well, at least it runs. It sounds pretty good. Can't believe I just forgot those stupid plug wires, putting the plugs in. Didn't see him sitting there. I checked the spark and it didn't have very good spark. That was part of the issue. So I got the spark working. Cleaned the points, a little bit of film I guess maybe on them, and when it's 6 volt and it's going that slow. So anyway, I think I'll go down and get a fan belt for it. I don't know. I don't even know if they have the right size one anymore. They didn't have them for a while. See if I can get one and we'll run it for, gotta run it for the break-in. But yeah, and I got stuff falling off everywhere. So anyway, at least it fires. And maybe I'll, once it heats up a couple times, then I leave all the back tin off, because then I'll tighten up the exhaust bolts again, because they'll be leaking for a while. I hear some ticky-tickies, a lot of it. All right, so let's bring you guys back in shortly. All right, we got a belt on here. I gotta turn it on. Gotta set the timing too. Let's see. Start it up and idle it from there. know if I like that sound. You hear it? Sounds like a lifter. Doesn't sound like a rod. I heard it when I first started it. Oh, you know what? Maybe it's this. Yep, that's what it is. It's the pulley. Okay, it didn't sound like the motor. Let's see. I like to run it at 2,000 RPM for like 20 minutes, but start hearing that noise got louder. No, it's the pulley. Nope, that's it. Crank it up again. Doesn't seem to get hot, nothing. Do a break in. Yeah, that sounds a lot better. Good. I'm going to bring you back in. I got about 10 more minutes here. So, like after 20 minutes, break in. Let's see if I can set this up a little bit. I haven't synced the carbs yet, but not too far out. I have to tighten up this spring quite a bit. This thing's mean, man. It doesn't sound like no 36 horse. A little sit back over there. running for 20 minutes. No rear tin on it. Got the deck lid open, of course. No blue smoke. Rings dry. That's how you do that. That's a straight pipe. Wonder what it sounds like with the lid shut. I think people will know that it's not stock. It doesn't sound like a stock motor. Not that I want it to. I like it being a little bit of a sleeper. Well, we got to work out some of the throttle issues before we can test drive it. I really want to test drive it, but return spring sucks. I got to do adjust the clutch. I got to get this piece back in there. Retighten the exhaust bolt. Put silicone on the threads so they don't. We're at 30 degrees right now. I might take it up to 32. I don't know. If it pings, then I'll bring it back. Might have to turn that thing sideways and take it all the way over. A lot of spring tension. Do some more tuning to it. May run through the valves. I'm hearing a lot of extra noise in that. And I've got exhaust leaks and stuff, I think. I gotta look all that over. God, that seems like a small cam, but for this it might not be. Alright, can't wait to drive it, guys. We'll see what happens next. I don't know if I'm going to have that in this video or not. It all depends on what happens in the next 20 minutes. Alright guys, I think that's going to settle it right there. The throttle cable is not going to cut it. I thought it wouldn't. So I'm going to have to get a buggy throttle cable cut to fit and fix this up a little bit better. Because these things are, I don't know, they got to be, that spring tension, you have to be really tight. And they're still not returning very well. What was wrong with it, it wasn't, a lot of guys were like, hey man, make sure the linkage is lubed and everything. it wasn't that. It was like this side, I'm trying to think, what's it called, where the shaft goes through the carburetor, it was a little too tight. So I think it's going to take a wear-in time period, looks like to me. I'm pumping gas into it, right? But anyway, I'm not going to start it right back up right now anyway, because this right here just isn't going to fly. I'm going to have to replace that. I'm going to have to get this tin back on here, retighten all this stuff. It's going to take me a couple days before I can get this thing on the road. It's way more work than you might think. Yeah, just a couple little things. Yeah, right. And you start working on it, and everything's hard to get to. You know, it's a little slower going. This whole process of this engine has been very slow going. Every piece, putting it on, you have to fit it. It's like this right here, like, you know, the linkage won't go all the way back. You know, what's it getting caught on? Is it hitting the distributor, or I mean and also the generator light's on, so we may have an issue there. I don't know what that is yet. So just a ton of little crap like that that's going to take me a couple of days. Everything adds up. So anyway, but it does run. And this is like the Cool Tech distributor. My 00010 was so wasted inside. That was one of the things we were waiting for, waiting to make videos. Was so wasted inside that it was completely unsavable. The weights, the shaft are just rusted to nothing. So there's nothing in there to save. So that thing, I don't think you can buy the weights or the plate in the shaft. I think you need another distributor. So I just took my label and put it on here. So that's what I did there. And I got these for the coil. And then I'll put the air cleaners on it and all that jacked up stuff and see if I can get this thing on the road. I got my battery on the charger, and I got to figure out what the charging system problem is. So anyway, I know the generator is good. We checked that, but the regulator maybe just needs a little tappy or something, you know. Might have to just take it off, unhook it, clean the points, put it back together, stuff like that. Who knows? All right, that's it for this, guys. I'll talk to you in the next one. Definitely runs, definitely sounds good. It's going to be a while before I get it on the road. Talk to you in the next one.